I'm Tom Wright. I'm already losing my voice. But thank you for joining us. I'm not kidding. And welcome to Celebrate the Tri-State RPA's 2024 Fall Gala. This event is very important to us. Tonight, we are raising almost 20% of RPA's annual budget thanks to all of you, our generous sponsors and supporters. RPA is the only organization that looks at the entire tri-state metropolitan region with an independent, long-term perspective grounded in critical analysis and research. Your support tonight is crucial to building a region for future generations that is more prosperous, sustainable, and equitable. We also love this evening because it gives us an opportunity to celebrate public officials, RPA board members, and projects that exemplify our values and demonstrate real leadership and vision. As an organization that focuses on long-range issues, it is nice to remind ourselves that, yes, sometimes things do get done on our watch. Over the years, this event has given us opportunities to champion great projects like Domino Park, the World Trade Center Master Plan, Moynihan Train Hall, and One Vanderbilt. We get to thank publicly the public officials who take a stand and deliver for our communities, people like Jeanette Sadiq-Khan, Jeanette, Polly Trottenberg, Hope Knight, and Jano Lieber. And it allows us to recognize the RPA board members, the dedicated RPA board members who step up, people like Bob Billingsley, Peggy Shepard, Scott Reckler, and June Choi. I know this is an especially tense time for many people, with important decisions on the horizon, but we do have a lot to celebrate for this year. The Gateway program is moving forward with $12 billion, Chris Calori, in federal funding. The Portal North Bridge is on schedule and budget, and now more than half complete, while construction has begun on the Hudson Tunnel project in New York, in New Jersey, and even under the Hudson River. Thank you. My staff. Thank you, Lacey. So now our focus has shifted to make sure that Penn Station can accommodate twice as many trains and passengers coming from the west. We must build a great station, a civic landmark of enduring quality, convenience, and beauty. And we must not shortchange our future growth and prosperity. These tunnels and this station, yeah, I know who that was. These tunnels and this station will need to provide capacity for the next 100 plus years. So now is not the time to let short-term thinking or parochialism weaken our ambition or reduce our goals. Another major challenge we face is the ongoing crisis of housing. There are many factors that go into this, from local opposition to global supply chains, but the simple fact remains, unless we can produce more housing to meet growing demand, our problem will only get worse. RPA has led the fight to generate more housing region-wide and expand home ownership with opportunities with coalitions like Desegregate Connecticut and New York Neighbors. We're advocating for reduced parking requirements, expedited approval of accessory dwelling units, and more transit-oriented development in all 3 states. And next week, the New York City Council will hold hearings on City of Yes for housing opportunity. The most ambitious, yes, we should applaud. It's the most ambitious rezoning of New York in 2 generations, which would allow for a little more housing in all parts of the city. And we're working on many more issues, fighting for congestion pricing, protecting coastal communities, Commissioner, from climate change, transitioning to renewable energy sources, reducing carbon emissions, redesigning our streets and public spaces, promoting healthy communities, building greenways, fixing our airports, and growing our high-tech industries. Of course, none of this would be possible without the inspiring public officials that we partner with on a daily basis. And I'm so honored that we've been joined by so many special guests this evening. Congressman Dan Goldman will be here later, and Congressman Jerry Nadler was here. New York City DEP Commissioner Rit Agarwal, Chief Climate Officer Rit Agarwal, New York City Council Member Selvina Brooks Powers, Port Authority Executive Director Rick Cotton, New York State DOT Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez, New Jersey Transit CEO Kevin Corbett, New York City Planning Executive Director Edith Sue Chen, New York City Deputy Mayor Mira Joshi, New York State Deputy Secretary James Katz, New York City Economic Development Commission, EDC President Andrew Kimball, Gateway Development Commission CEO Chris Calori, Connecticut Municipal Redevelopment Authority Executive Director David Corris, Empire State Development Corporation President and CEO Hope Knight, New York State Homes and Community Renewal Commissioner Ruth Ann Wisnowskis, Borough President Mark Levine. And I probably missed a few, but please join me in thanking all of those extraordinary public officials who've been here tonight. Okay, so it's now my pleasure to welcome up to the podium RPA's Chairman, Ray McGuire. Ray is a legend on Wall Street. He's the president of Lazard and held senior positions at Citi, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch. He is a member of the boards of Hess and Vornado Realty Trust, and he holds leadership positions at the American Museum of Natural History, the Black Trustee Alliance for Art Museums, the Hotchkiss School, the New York Public Library, the Studio Museum in Harlem, and the Whitney Museum of American Art. And for the last year and a half, Ray has led RPA's board of directors through the challenges of funding for mass transit, implementing congestion pricing, addressing the housing crisis, and transitioning to a clean energy economy. Ray, I will admit, I sometimes wonder if Scott Reckler warned you just how much work you would be signing up for when you became RPA's board chair, but you've stepped up and provided incredible leadership for us. Thank you so much for your commitment to RPA and the work that we do, and for your passion for serving New York and the metropolitan region. Ray McGuire.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening. Tom, I must admire your admission. When you began to list the number of elected officials here, I certainly hope you didn't leave anyone out. They don't have my number, but they have yours. It is so wonderful to be here, and I look around this room full of beautiful people. This has to be amongst the most dedicated and powerful and talented room of what we call urbanists and public service servants anywhere in the region. And a night like tonight, when there's so many competing galas and the competition is fierce, the driver that we had took me to the other Cipriani's, and I get out of the car and I go to the front, and it's a different gala. So luckily the driver was patient. So I came here, and I just want to say thank each of you for being here tonight and supporting the RPA. And while I will not go through an exhaustive list, those of you who know who I come from the neighborhood, you get a microphone, you see your congregation, you deliver a message. Sermon, I won't deliver that tonight. But I am compelled to give a few shout outs. One to my beautiful three-quarters bride, Crystal. And let me begin where we all end, and that is for those of faith. And so we have Reverend Phil Jackson here. It's wonderful to see you at our Trinity Wall Street Church. Your impact and leadership, especially in times like this, the moral compass which you represent and reflect, the North Star guides us all. So it's in your hands as your sheep that we move forward as you being our shepherd. Thank you for being here. Tom Wright, thank you. Through each strategic challenge and every strategic issue, your leadership has reflected insight and judgment and intellect and passion and compassion. We remain fortunate to have you as our leader. Tom, thank you. And where is Kate Slevin? Kate, your leadership is clearly distinguished, and you are central to RPA executing on our plan. Thank you, Kate Slevin. And to the superb staff and the extraordinary vice chairs, executive committee, and board of RPA, thank you for your commitment to this organization. I'm honored to stand here on your behalf and on your shoulders. So indulge me if you will, and will the board of RPA please stand? Any board members of RPA, please stand. And as Tom has gone through and listed, not alphabetically, but listed those of you who are the public leaders, let's just acknowledge that you are the people who actually have the power to improve people's lives and secure a better future. Thank you for your service. We arrive at tonight's gathering full of joy and optimism, anxiety and fear and hope. Our emotions are high, our resolve steadfast. Our time is challenging, but I'm reminded of the storied philosopher who begged the question, which I'm certain all of you know. And he said, let us do something while we have the chance. It is not every day that we are needed, not indeed that we personally are needed. Others would meet the case equally as well, if not better. To all mankind, they were addressed, those cries for help still ringing in our ears. But at this place, at this moment of time, all mankind is us, whether we like it or not. Let us make the most of it before it is too late. Let us present worthily for one the foul brood to which a cruel fate consigned us. What do you say? It is true that when folded arms we weigh the pros and cons, we're no less a credit to our species. The tiger bounds to the help of his congeners without the least reflection, or else he slinks away into the depths of the thickets. But that is not the question. What are we doing here? That is the question. During this time, just months, this month, extreme storms influenced by climate change have battered our country's southern coast in unthinkable ways. Some of our regional resiliency plans for the 100-year flood that comes now every other year are ready to go, but have stalled. Progress to build more housing remains slow. Funding for our transit system is uncertain. Our New York City government is in transition. And of course, perhaps the most consequential presidential election in our country's history is 19 days away. As the indefatigable 21st century philosopher Congressman John Lewis said, my dear friends, your vote is precious, almost sacred. It is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have to create a more perfect union. Throughout all of this, the work of RPA remains more essential than ever. RPA is an honest broker of truth. Our work stays above the parochial politics of the day. We provide unbiased, objective research and guidance to those who hopefully will take it and turn it into reality. Each of the honorees tonight embody that same charge, that same passion. They are playing their part in building a region that lifts up every resident of the tri-state. And each of them will be introduced appropriately, but while you've granted me the privilege, then let me observe. Let me start by extending my congratulations to Jim Johnson. There is no one more deserving than Jim. I've been fortunate to have his strong support during my time as chair of RPA. His commitment to the success of the region and the success of this organization is unmatched. Jim, congratulations again on this honor. And I also want to congratulate the NYSERDA President, Doreen M. Harris, who will be honored later this evening with RPA's Making It Happen Award. Doreen's contributions to the state have been outstanding over her career, and her leadership promoting clean energy is truly exemplary. The health and prosperity of our region, our nations, depends on a sustainable green future. Doreen, New York is in safe hands thanks to your leadership. I'd also like to recognize Google for its Project of the Year award and thank Scott Foster for accepting this award. It is no secret that our great city has changed over the centuries. From a center of port, trade, and commerce to a global financial capital, to the uncertainties of the pandemic, to the changing nature of how we work and live, New York City has always adapted. Google's St. John terminal is proof of that. An old rail terminal has been transformed into a sustainably built tech hub, creating thousands of jobs and revitalizing a neighborhood in the process. Thank you, Google, for being here tonight. And beyond these extraordinary honorees, my final privilege exists in sharing the stage with a long-standing friend whom I've admired and respected for years, Leah C. Johnson, Executive Vice President and Chief Communications Officer for Lincoln Center. Leah is someone who goes above and beyond in her own right. In addition to leading marketing and advocacy at Lincoln Center, Leah serves on the board of many cultural institutions in this great city. And beyond her exemplary cultural institutions and service in our city and state and nation, above all, Leah is an exemplary person who happens to be one of Jim Johnson's longstanding friends. She has the honor of presenting Jim this award. Please join me in welcoming the extraordinary Leah Johnson to the stage.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here. And I didn't realize that so many friends would be here. I thought I'd have one friend here named Jim Johnson. I didn't realize there'd be so many, so it's a pleasure. 45 years ago, 2 young people received their college freshman register, also known as the Facebook. One lived in Montclair, New Jersey, and the other lived in Brooklyn. Separately, they did what every late teen would do. They ripped open the packaging. They flung the book open, almost breaking the binding, to look for their individual picture. And there we were, Jim, 2 Johnsons, side by side, with radiant smiles. Who knew that that would be the spark for a lifelong friendship? That little book, though, was more than a collection of high school photos. It was an invitation. It was an invitation to find and build community in the vast place we were about to inhabit, called Harvard. It felt, if you felt the invitation was for you, then you might feel safe in reaching out to someone who had some commonality, or perhaps someone who might be quite different from you. Jim came to college understanding the power of an invitation to participate. He immediately started connecting with others and building community. He sought to make the lives of the students better, and he talked about his dreams of returning to Jersey to do the same on a larger scale. I wasn't surprised when Jim was elected by, among our peers, to become the first, not the first, but first-class marshal. And the main purpose of this role is to connect members of the class to each other and to the college. And that is who Jim is. Extending invitation and building community. It's a way of life for Jim. He is a builder, carefully listening to all the voices and allowing the experiences of others to provide the wayfinding that is necessary as he plots the path forward. Underlying it all is the alchemy of infinite possibility, unwavering values, and keen intelligence. Jim's groundbreaking work in Atlantic City as special counsel to Governor Murphy is a prime example. As he set out to create a blueprint and action a plan to reimagine Atlantic City to be prosperous and available to everyone, he sought the views and participation of those who are not usually asked. From casino workers to parents of kids attending Head Start, Jim brought those traditionally considered outsiders in. In fact, he flipped the script. He brought Hispanic and Latin communities to the first ever Spanish language town hall to begin building a shared vision for the future. Another view into Jim's leadership was during the darkest days of the pandemic. He was New York City's corporation counsel, and he had to figure out a way to invite 2,000 staff members into the fight for the common good and also sustain them during the pandemic's toughest days. He built a sense of community by bringing poetry, music, and shared purpose to their daily lives. He built bridges between and among legal counsel from all the city agencies. Jim believes the arts and democracy share an inherent set of values and principles, and he brought this to bear to benefit his sprawling team. Jim's legal career has been spent using his brilliance and insights to advocate for change and justice. Whether it was as a partner at a law firm or undersecretary of the Treasury, Jim's work was always in service of equity and a better civic life for all, both inside organizations and outside. As chair of the Brennan Center for Justice, Jim personally represented classes of voters in several cases in Florida and Colorado. As head of New Jersey's Advisory Committee on Police Standards, he led efforts to eliminate racial profiling. Jim's accomplishments are vast. I would venture to say, though, that his family is his crowning achievement. His daughters, his son, Abby, Amalia, Natalie, Miles, are truly his most significant accomplishments. Jim's wife, Nancy Northrup, CEO of Center for the Reproductive Rights, is a powerhouse and a recognized global leader for women's health and reproductive rights. Click on the national news on any given Sunday, and you just might see Nancy opining on a new court decision that is affecting women's access to health care. Jim, I know how Nancy inspires you to reach even higher heights, but I also know how her steady partnership and love, what it means to you. You're a beautiful pair, so thank you, Nancy. Jim is also a keen observer. A little fact that he told me the other day, as Robert Caro was writing The Years of Lyndon Johnson, The Passage of Power, he needed to describe the Oval Office, so he turned to Jim. Jim focused on the lack of shadows and corners, and with this comes a sense of possibility. There are no limits to your view in the Oval Office, he told Robert Caro. Wisely, Caro ended up using Jim's description in the book. While this is the 50th anniversary of yet another of Caro's books this evening, I am thrilled to honor and introduce a different kind of master builder, one who builds by inviting people in to participate, to transform, to advocate, and to create community. And now it's time to hear from a few more people who know Jim, who've worked with him, and who want to pay tribute. It's a short video.
Jim, I was thrilled when I heard that you were receiving this recognition from the Regional Plan Association. Not only do you bring wisdom, skill, and experience to the table, but you also bring a deep sense of caring for those who are affected, as well as a strong fidelity to mission. That's what makes you so unique and so special and so deserving of this award.
I want to take a moment to express my great admiration, appreciation, and affection for James Johnson, whom I've known for many, many years. And I remember two things about Jim that will always be on my mind about him. The first is that he was precise and ambitious for all of us. He wanted Treasury enforcement to be the absolute best part of the government that existed. He wanted to make sure that we did everything right, and that stuck. The second thing I will say about him is he had a wickedly good sense of humor, and it leavened my not infrequent frustration at the bureaucracy that I was working in. Thank you, Jim, for everything you do. We love you and look forward to seeing you soon.
I met Jim when he served as special counsel to Governor Murphy, leading a pivotal project to reform, revitalize Atlantic City. He didn't just observe from a distance. He rolled up his sleeves, met with community stakeholders from every corner of the city to make sure that their voice was heard. Jim's work was built on a strategy of breaking down silos, fostering collaboration, and ensuring that every effort driving toward one goal was a sustainable and shared prosperity for all. To me, Jim is more than a colleague. He's a mentor, a friend, and in many ways, a guiding force. Congratulations, Jim, on an award so well deserved.
Congratulations, Jim. Little did I know that when I introduced you to Tom and said that I thought you'd be a great board member, that you become so important to the organization so quickly and so critical to our mission. Everyone here at Trinity is really very, very proud of you. And I'm going to make sure I put this in my weekly report. Congrats.
It is a pleasure to introduce the 2024 Above and Beyond winner.
Leah, thank you so much. Thank all of you. I think it's fair to say that I am undone right now. I've known Leah, she said, for 45 years, and she improves the posture of pretty much every room that she walks into. And you heard her title. That was actually one of the greatest pieces of public advocacy that she did. Some of it may have been true. So thank you, Leah. I found the video itself breathtaking and moving. Very special, and I'm grateful to the RPA for putting it together. But I am also a lawyer, and I know when evidence presented to someone is viewed in the light most favorable to the person, and that was truly viewing me in the light most favorable to what I have actually done. And to the extent that any of it was accurate, it was because of the people that I've been fortunate to be surrounded by. Going back, you've seen Leah. Many of you know about her reputation and her vision, but there are many others, including the place where I work right now. I work at Trinity Church, Wall Street. Change the name, folks. It's Trinity Church, a parish in the city of New York, under Phil Jackson's leadership. And what we do there is to take tremendous resources, which we have inherited over time, and try to live out the gospel on the streets of New York and around the world. A couple of quick data points. There are 800 kids every week that we serve in an after-school program. Last year, we served over 2 million meals. We have provided the largest support in the city for asylum seekers. And those of you who pay attention to Manhattan real estate know that Trinity shared and helped build the vision for the Hudson Square development. I get to hang out with people that improve my posture. And when I'm smartest, I learn from them. And it just didn't start at Trinity, it didn't even start in college, but it started with family. And I'm fortunate to have some of my family represented by my sister here. My sister Margaret was, Leah kind of fit into a slot in college. I have had a sister, when I was 2, my dad took me to see this little ball of black frizzy hair and bright eyes and said, this person will be your best friend for the rest of your life. And any time that I start to stray, my sister is a person who will remind me where I'm from and what I should do. And I know that if any of you were standing here today, you know that you don't get to a place like this by yourself. And as Ray said, you stand on someone else's shoulders, or you hang on someone else's arm, or you follow someone else's example, and my sister is that. And then there is my wife, and Leah mentioned my wife, Nancy Northup. She is, anytime I flag, anytime I think that there is something that is maybe too big a challenge to task, my wife is my inspiration, she is my counsel, and my best constructive critic. And now I have a different kind of a family in RPA and with all of you. You don't have to be a former corporation counsel to understand that at this moment in New York City is a time of tremendous crisis. So RPA is needed at this moment, as are you. You don't have to have worked with the city, for the city during a pandemic to understand that this is a different kind of time. And the city depends on anchor institutions. RPA is one, Lincoln Center is another, but there are many other that the city will depend upon. And so since I have the microphone, I am asking for all of those who are part of anchor institutions to understand that this is the moment. Ray quoted from a beautiful poetic speech in which he said, one of the lines was, "This is the time to do something." I would add, this is the time to do some good. This is the time to step forward. Not to complain, there's plenty of complaining to do. That's easy. The jobs we do and why RPA matters is because at a time when we are fighting over facts, at a time when we are deeply polarized, at a time when we can't agree even if the sun has come up on a given day, RPA focuses on the facts, brings people together in a nonpartisan way, and provides a forum so desperately needed now for us to reach some sense of the common good. Do something, our chair said. And I say, do something good. Maybe you can blame the next remarks because I work at a church. But I think if we're going to do something good, we have to exercise moral imagination. I've already indicated that my family is very, very important to me. They are the source. And Leah told you a little bit about that. And I want to tell you a quick story about my family and why so much of this matters. There's a picture in my living room of a group of 40 African Americans dressed in their Sunday best. The picture was taken at Thanksgiving in 1960. It was taken in a house on North Grove Street in East Orange, New Jersey. Out of that picture, so many of us came. They gathered in 1960, but they couldn't gather in that same place in 1968 because the entrance to 280 obliterated that house. It actually crushed East Orange, New Jersey. I tell that story because this is a story about, for me, a lack of moral imagination, a lack of saying, what is it that we owe each other when we make these decisions? What is it that we should be doing when we're shaping new, grand visions? Just a week and a half ago, I was at an event for the premiere of a film that Leah was the driving force behind. It's a documentary on San Juan Hill. It's called San Juan Hill, the lost neighborhood of Manhattan. And it's the story of the creation of Lincoln Center from a long-standing community. And in it, you heard stories not unlike my family's stories, but only worse. And that the death rate of the residents who had lived in that area, in a temple filled with stone, not unlike this one, many of them, the older ones, died a year after they were moved out of the Lincoln Center era. Now, we are at a time in which we want to build, we want to plan. We are planners. We shape the future, or at least try to. And the question becomes, what do we do with that power? What do we do? Do we build more edifices? Or do we think about the families, the people, the voices that are typically not heard? Ray told us, do something. Do something good. I am glad, I am delighted that you're here to support an organization that some might say like, oh, it's kind of, these are policy wonks. But in policy, there's power. In this room, there is extraordinary power. And so I thank you for this award. I thank you for this honor, and I accept it on behalf of the many people that stand behind me, with me, and within me to help me get to this point. And on their behalf, on behalf of the family that was transformed by short-sighted vision, I ask you at this moment of challenge in this nation and in this city, do something. Do something good. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, it's Senator Chuck Schumer, and I'm sure sorry I can't be with you in person, but I'm with you in spirit as you gathered to celebrate another successful year of RPA. First, thanks to your great board chair, Ray McGuire, and CEO Tom Wright for driving RPA forward with passion and purpose. I also want to congratulate your honorees, NYSERDA President Doreen Harris, Trinity Church COO Jim Johnson, and Google's St. John's Terminal. It's an honor to be recognized by such a great organization like the RPA. I know because I was so proud to receive the John Zuccotti Award a few years ago when we passed the historic bipartisan infrastructure law. With $1.2 trillion in funding, a huge amount, the bipartisan infrastructure law is already helping revitalize every corner of the tri-state region's infrastructure, making it safer, more secure, more economically efficient, and more resilient. And as we continue to assess the damage from Hurricanes Helene and Milton, now is the time to make sure our region is prepared for every scenario, because we all know too well we're not immune. When Superstorm Sandy hit the tri-state region 12 years ago, it laid bare the vulnerabilities of our infrastructure, and I worked hard to get over $60 billion to help us revitalize our infrastructure and do it in a resilient, storm-resistant way. In the years since, no group has worked harder and advocated more to bring our region up to speed with climate adoption and resiliency than RPA. And thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law, we're finally bringing those projects to life. So thanks again, keep up the good work, enjoy the gala.
Good evening, everyone. God, it's loud. I hope you're all enjoying your dinner. Let's give another round of applause for Jim for such fabulous remarks, and also for Ray and Leah. RPA works to improve the quality of life for everyone in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut metropolitan area. Through research, advocacy, and planning, we help create equitable and healthy communities and a built environment where everyone can prosper. And we are busy. This year alone, the amazing RPA staff released 28 reports and hosted dozens of public events, press conferences, and rallies. We are quoted an average of 11 times per week in the media. And we are proud of what we have accomplished, working with so many of you. Our advocacy has helped secure $13 billion in new public transportation funding. This includes work with the Build Gateway Now Coalition, which Tom mentioned, and the Fund New Jersey Transit Coalition, the latter leading to a historic agreement on a new business tax to fund New Jersey Transit's operations, protecting riders from service cuts. And this doesn't include the $15 billion we are going to win from New York's congestion pricing program. We won't give up, and we know many partners here tonight will not stop until we see congestion pricing started and we're experiencing the air quality and traffic reduction benefits we were all promised. Congestion pricing will allow another RPA priority to advance, the Interborough Express, benefiting over 900,000 nearby residents in Brooklyn and Queens. Beyond transportation, working with many of you, we have grown the New York pro-homes movement and won the removal of arbitrary caps on housing production, a pro-housing communities designation, easier commercial to residential conversions, incentives for accessory dwelling units, and more resources for dilapidated rural housing. And we are building local networks like the Welcome Home Westchester and Long Island housing campaigns. In Connecticut, we are working with local leaders to ensure more housing near transit, and New Jersey is making progress in giving homeowners new options for rental income by legalizing accessory dwelling units. Here in New York City, our latest piece on the City of Yes says the new housing generated by the proposal would create 30,000 jobs and $2 billion in economic benefit every year. And as you hear in a minute, when it comes to clean energy, exciting progress is happening in offshore wind. RPA has been a leader advocating for this new industry. Our most recent work highlights the urgent need for onshore port infrastructure to deliver our clean energy future and provide local jobs. The future might be cleaner, but it also might be more tumultuous. In the weeks ahead and beyond, RPA will remain fiercely independent, nonpartisan, and backed by deep research and regional collaboration. We will keep our elected officials accountable to all of their commitments, such as addressing the housing crisis, transitioning to clean energy, and raising more resources for public transit. At the dinner table this week, my kids, ages 9 and 14, asked me if political instability could force us to move. To be fair, I think this question was not driven by any real concern about our collective future, but instead a desire to redirect our boring adult political conversation to more exciting topics, like the coolest places to live in the world, specifically those that might have, say, good surfing, good soccer teams, lots of cute animals, or even things like castles. But I answered seriously, and I said, no, not unless we are in deep danger. We would not move. We would stay, and we would try to fix what is broken. And that's what groups like RPA in this room do, and everyone else in this room do. We fix broken things, whether it be a zoning policy that deepened racial segregation and inequality, a crumbling train tunnel, or an energy system that relies on fossil fuels. That is what unites our honorees tonight and every year at this event. It is frustrating work, but it's made better with our amazing civic partners and all of our coalition friends who are here tonight. So to all of you, a big thank you for being here, for your passion, for your intelligence, and for your ongoing collaboration. And before I close, I want to recognize the hardworking staff of RPA. If you work at RPA, please stand up so we can give you a round of applause. They do such fabulous work. Now I'm really pleased to introduce Abigail Ross Harper, the President and CEO of the Solar Energy Industries Association, the national trade organizations for America's solar energy industry. Abigail oversees all of SEIA's activities and is focusing on creating a marketplace where solar will constitute a significant percentage of America's energy generation. Before joining SEIA, Abby served as the Director of Department of Interior, Bureau of Energy Management, and was the Energy Advisor to Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley. So please join me in welcoming Abigail to the stage.
So hello, how are you? Good. All right, it's good to see you all. For those of you I have not met yet, my name is Abby Hopper. I have the privilege of being the President and CEO of the Solar Energy Industries Association. So I can tell I live in DC, I'm from DC, I grew up in DC, I'm a native of DC, and we have a lot of associations, but perhaps here in New York it does not translate quite as much. So I have the privilege of representing all of the solar and storage companies in the nation. So when you talk about fixing things and things that are fueled with fossil fuel, this is the business side of how that's all going to happen. So thank you so very much for allowing me to be here this evening and to introduce my dear friend, a fierce leader, and tonight's recipient of the Making It Happen Award, NYSERDA President and CEO, Doreen Harris. I think we can clap for that, you guys. So Doreen and I did not meet in college, but we did meet about 10-ish years ago, I think. We met about 10 years ago. Doreen was working at NYSERDA in a different role. I was working for Governor O'Malley, as you heard. We were both working in state government, trying to make big things happen. And I knew the first time I met Doreen that I really wanted to get to know her. You know when you get that feeling, that chemistry with someone and you think, you know what, I really like this person, I want to get to know her. And I felt that way for 3 reasons. One, it was evident to me upon meeting Doreen that she was brilliant. She's an engineer, she is a business professional. She understands both the technical challenges and the market conditions that have to be in place and have to be solved so that we can have this transformational shift in how we fuel our economy. But she's also a visionary. She understands the incredible task we have before us in terms of addressing climate change, and she is committed to, wait for it, making it happen. Yes, right? Thank you. You're listening. And third, and brilliance and wisdom are 2 very different things. And not only is Doreen brilliant, she's also wise. And I say that because she and I have been in this work for a long time. And she knew at the very beginning that the way in which we fuel our economy and where we put power plants and how we price our energy, something that is so critical for every human being, has huge implications on people's well-being and communities' well-being and humans' health. And so Doreen was wise long before others in my industry and our industry were wise about centering equity at the focus of her work. Understanding that as we make this foundational shift to clean energy, that we are leaving no people and no communities behind. So that's just a little bit about who Doreen is, but I'm going to give you a couple of snippets of what Doreen has accomplished. So just this morning, she was in, hold on, that I have to look at my notes, New Scotland here in New York, celebrating the fact that there are now 6 gigawatts of distributed solar here in New York. I don't know if you guys realize, but you have exceeded your goal. You have met your goal a year early. That's not usually something we celebrate in government, but congratulations. And I want to point out that reaching that goal doesn't just affect the thousands of New Yorkers who benefit from that clean energy and from that business growth, but it also continues New York State's position as a leader in the clean energy transition. As New York goes, so does this country. Similarly, with regard to offshore wind, which is where Doreen and I met, she and NYSERDA have led the way to ensuring that New York State is a leader. They're taking big, bold action and making things happen. Thank you. So that's just a snippet for you policy nerds out there. But I want to talk about another thing about Doreen. During her tenure at NYSERDA, she has overseen incredible growth of the organization. Over the last few years, the organization's been around for about 50 years, right? Celebrating 50 years. So over the last few years, it remains at the forefront of climate and energy policy in the world, and it is growing rapidly. They've added over almost 70% growth over the last few years, including 80 new colleagues this year alone. So I want you to know that this woman who you're about to hear from is not only a policy expert, but she is running a huge and wildly successful business enterprise. So don't forget that. Third, Doreen plays a pivotal role in growing the next generation of leaders in the clean energy transition. She has mentored so many people in NYSERDA, in New York, in clean energy, and around the world. And it takes deeply her commitment to making sure that this transition we are in is led by those who are impacted by it. And lastly, I want to say one thing very personally, that there are not that many women in our space. In the world of energy, there are not a lot of CEOs like Doreen and I, and there are certainly not a lot of CEOs that are actively parenting children, while they're also managing huge staffs and changing the world. And so I just want to recognize that. So Doreen, as a fellow mom, as a fellow leader, I want to thank you specifically for building and being a shining example of what it looks like to be a committed professional, to be a servant leader, to be a fierce business administrator, and to be a mom of many. A mom of many. Thank you for showing up in all of the different ways that you do. Each and every one of us in this room appreciates your work, and every New Yorker is better for it. So thank you. Now, I am not alone in my tribute, so I would direct your attention to the video.
It is a pleasure to congratulate my dear friend Doreen Harris for receiving this well-deserved honor. Under Doreen's leadership, NYSERDA has made us a global climate leader dedicated to creating healthier communities and businesses powered by clean energy right here in New York State. Doreen, on behalf of everyone at the Office of General Services, I want to congratulate you on receiving the Regional Plan Association's Making It Happen Award.
So about 9 years ago, Doreen and I were standing on the rooftop at Industry City looking down on a 75-acre site that had been vacant for 75 years right on the waterfront. And we both pledged that we were going to do everything we could to bring the offshore wind industry there. Today, that site is under construction to become the largest offshore wind port in the United States, creating over 1,000 jobs that will ultimately power over 500,000 homes in New York City with green energy. That does not happen without Doreen Harris's leadership.
Bonjour from rainy Paris, but I had to take the time to send my deepest regards and great admiration for my dear friend Doreen Harris. Congratulations. You are an amazing leader in all things climate. Thank you so much, my friend, for all the work that you do for all of us.
Doreen, congratulations on the incredible honor from RPA. I know you're doing great work, and this honor is so well-deserved to you. So keep it up. We'll find ways to collaborate in the future. Bye, Doreen.
I want to thank RPA for honoring Doreen. She comes to work every day to make sure that we get to yes. I have to thank her and honor her for all of what she brings. We could not do it without you. So I send my regards, congratulations, and Governor Hochul congratulates you as well.
On behalf of the New York State and New York City Building Trades Council and the 235 men and women in the unionized construction industry, we would like to congratulate Doreen Harris on RPA's recognition of all the work that she has done. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Doreen for her commitment to our climate and to the great state of New York. All the best.
So please join me in welcoming Doreen Harris, the 2024 winner of the Making It Happen Award.
Wow. I heard this room was quiet. I don't know if that's actually true, but wow, this is quite the opportunity, and I have to thank you, Abby, for that amazing introduction and for presenting me with this award. So for those of you who don't know Abby, you need to meet Abby. She is literally a clean energy rock star and a true leader in advancing all aspects of the clean energy industry. She's also my friend and a mentor to so many, and someone that demonstrates her commitment to all of the aspects that she just described about me in every work that she does. I'm also extraordinarily honored to be represented here, honored here along with certainly Jim Johnson. I am not going to do that speech here today, but I have to say, to be recognized along with someone like Jim and, of course, Google for the work that they are doing, I'm extraordinarily thankful to stand here before you in that same room, for sure. And so you heard from some of my friends and colleagues in the video, but I have to recognize the extraordinary members of Governor Hochul's cabinet who are here tonight with me. Thank you for being here. You are also rock stars. You are government rock stars. So thank you all for being here too. And to Tom, Ray, and the entire RPA organization, it is an extraordinary honor to not only be recognized, but on behalf of an organization whose collective work is so central to the success not only of the New York State area, obviously, but the region, which is absolutely true that the transition that I lead on behalf of the state of New York cannot be done alone. It has to be done with more people in the room, and RPA is representative of the need that we need to come together around the transition to clean energy. So certainly the Making It Happen Award, as you heard from Abby, is about public service, but also public service in the specific instance of someone who is driving change. And so the change that I am driving is the change that is the literal fight of our generation, the fight against climate change and specifically the deployment of clean energy in that fight. And this is a transition, certainly, that is present not only here in New York, but one that we have shown is broadly beneficial to our economy, to our workers, to our citizens, and beyond. And this is something I literally spend my nights and weekends thinking about day in and day out. Certainly, Governor Hochul has made clear her commitment to this transition, and one that is both timely, equitable, and affordable for all New Yorkers. And we at NYSERDA are on the front lines of this transition. It is one that is necessary, I would say, to catalyze the market for the transition that we know we can realize together. And so I stand before you knowing all too well that the media headlines with respect to this transition, specifically over the last 6 months and perhaps the last year, would really lead one to question the perspectives on the future of New York's energy transition. And to be frank, it seems that there are more articles about the challenges of the transition than the successes, of the progress versus the issues. And for an organization that is laser focused on achieving this transition in those timely, equitable manner, I have to say, it could be that one would see that we would cast doubt on the achievement of these goals. But it is an important time for us at NYSERDA and for all of us together in this room to better internalize fundamentally how change happens and ultimately how we get from here to there. Because, my friends, change is difficult. Change represents shifts in behaviors, in societal norms, in economic structures, in political landscapes, and it leads to resistance from established norms. And I say this because energy has certainly become a focal point of this transition. The public dialogue would say that the issues facing our infrastructure build out as a maturation of our clean energy industries. And ultimately, for perhaps too long, we were able to sort of sail ahead, right? Ride the wave. There were tailwinds and there were no challenges before us. But ultimately, we've had to grow together through this transition and develop a matured approach as to what it actually takes to get from here to there. And I would say, fundamentally, the challenges that have faced the clean energy industry have faced our entire economy, and I am pleased to say we are coming out better ahead because the circumstances have changed when you take into account the unprecedented steps that we in New York State have taken to address these very challenges. So, let me go through a little bit of a victory lap here. This is my New York State victory lap. So, in 2023, we commissioned over 1 gigawatt of solar. We are the top community solar market in the nation 2 years running. And as you heard from Abby, we are ahead of schedule on a Climate Act goal of 6 gigawatts by 2025. We kicked off 2024 by celebrating the installation and the operation of our first utility-scale offshore wind project, South Fork Wind, and I am here to tell you it takes you 9 hours to get to South Fork and back. It is a long way away, but it is serving more than 70,000 homes in the South Fork of Long Island as we speak. As you heard from Andrew, we have 2 major offshore wind projects under construction, including the South Brooklyn Marine Terminal. It is so fantastic to see projects that are actually entering operation and also under construction, employing these New Yorkers that we knew were possible. The union, as you heard from Gary, movement is strong in the world of clean energy, and it is one that is also building the 339-mile Champlain-Hudson Power Express project that is bringing, you ready for this, 20% of New York City's electricity needs right here into New York. And so, my friends, yes, change is hard, but change has an impact. And it is an impact that I liken to the impact that one has in raising those 4 kids that Abby referred to. The days are long, but the years are short. And when we look at the progress that we are making together and look at the progress that we are making in building this clean energy industry here in New York and leading as an example for others, we have to put our heads down and keep our work apace. And so, as we launch our state energy plan this year, as Governor Hochul called for the Future Energy Economy Summit in Syracuse earlier this year as well, we have got to get after this change at a pace consistent with the need of the climate crisis. And this includes electrifying our heating and our transportation systems, identifying resources needed to enable a deeply renewable grid, and ultimately bringing forward economic development projects that can pair very much with this clean energy future that is part of our state. So these are issues that are prime focus for me at NYSERDA, for each of us as leaders in this room, and ultimately the ability to leverage data and analysis to provide objective and credible information that will lead us into the future together. So, as I'm sure my fellow awardees would attest, this work does not happen in a vacuum. There are so many of us in the room together that are bringing forward this change in a manner that, relative to our respective missions, is building New York and this region to be better than ever. So as NYSERDA's president and CEO, as you just heard, we are heading toward our 50th anniversary. We were born of the energy crisis of the 1970s, ultimately looking to find ways to bring New York into a brighter future in light of that crisis. Friends, our crisis today is much the same. It is the crisis of the climate, but it is one that we are well equipped to serve together. And I would ultimately say when I leave this state, there is nothing but accolades for not only this organization that I represent in NYSERDA, but the ways in which New York is solving these problems together. So I stand with you as we look to impact meaningful change together and ultimately to realize a brighter future for our state and our region. And I have to say, receiving this award is an extraordinary honor. It is one that reaffirms my personal commitment to this energy transition that New York is leading and the decarbonization of our energy system writ large. So my sincere thanks for the recognition, so many thanks to each of you, and I look forward to our continued collaboration.
Thank you, Doreen, for those remarks and for your leadership in addressing climate change. So now, I'm very excited to welcome our final introducer up onto the stage. Congressman Dan Goldman is an attorney who, before running for office, served as lead counsel in the first impeachment of former President Donald Trump and as an assistant United States attorney in the Southern District of New York. He serves on the House Committee on Homeland Security, the Oversight Committee, and the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government. But since joining Congress in 2023, Dan Goldman has taken a leadership role addressing traffic, goods movement, and quality of life issues in his district, and has distinguished himself as a leader on offshore wind investment, gun safety, and affordable housing. He is chairing the Brooklyn Marine Terminal Task Force, which was established, yes, Andrew, to create a vision for the community that includes a thriving waterfront, job opportunities, and a modernized commercial marine asset for the city and region. Representative Goldman has also been one of the region's most important voices in Congress, working to ensure that we get the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers' $52 billion harbor and tributary study right, because it's simply too big and too important an issue to screw up. So, Congressman, thank you for your strong leadership on these important issues. Thank you for joining us this evening, and I turn the podium over to you to introduce our final awardee.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here with you, and thank you, Tom, for that nice introduction. It's truly an honor, in fact, to be here among so many leaders in climate space, environment space, clean energy, and people who recognize the promise of that future. Tom, I want to thank you and Kate for all of your work with RPA. This is, it's been a tremendous asset for me as I've onboarded into Congress and started understanding and learning about a lot of these issues. The co-hosts, Ray, the board, Let's give everybody at RPA a big round of applause. In many ways, tonight we are celebrating the vision of the future of our special city. Partnerships between the public, private, and nonprofit sectors to spur innovation and incentivize economic growth while also protecting our climate and promoting the public interest. We can do all of it at once. And the massive challenges that are facing us cannot be solved by government alone. Instead, government must serve as a catalyst to incentivize the private sector to invest in the scale necessary to solve our housing crisis, our transition to renewable energy, and so much more. And it is our job in government to ensure that funding from government sources ultimately promotes the public good and is used as originally intended. The issues with public-private partnerships are not in the concept, it's in the enforcement, accountability, and execution. And since I came to Congress 2 years ago, I've been laser-focused on finding solutions to our challenges so that this city, state, and region can lead our nation forward. After decades of inertia on the Brooklyn waterfront in Red Hook, the city, state, and federal government have finally come together to realize a path forward to redevelop the Brooklyn Marine Terminal into a 21st century modern port, mixed-use community hub, and critical node in the city's visionary Blue Highway system. And there's real momentum behind it. Just last month, after the city had originally agreed with Andrew's guidance and leadership to invest $80 million in renovating and rejuvenating the port, and the state, thanks to Governor Hochul, kicked in another $15 million, I was very proud to announce with Senator Schumer and Gillibrand that the project received a $164 million capital grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. It's the largest grant New York City Economic Development Corporation has ever received. Now that amounts to more than $250 million in funding from all levels of government that will serve exactly as we want it to, as a catalyst for an ambitious and exciting project to reimagine a spectacular 122 acres of prime real estate and turn it into the modern vision of a working port and marine terminal. My district is also, as you've heard from Doreen, Tom, and so many others, right at the very center of some of the most exciting developments in the transition to clean energy. Recently, Equinor, a Norwegian oil and gas company, and the city of New York, as Andrew mentioned in the video, under his leadership, broke ground on the South Brooklyn Marine Terminal. This is going to be the largest offshore wind staging and maintenance port in the nation thus far. It will service a $1 billion offshore wind project, and it will deliver clean energy to more than 500,000 homes across New York City. This will be the first offshore wind project to plug directly into the New York City grid, and I am determined that it won't be the last anchored in my district. Right, Doreen? But one of the things this project really shows is how government can be that catalyst. Equinor itself has made it very clear over and over again that this project would never have happened without the subsidies included in President Biden, Vice President Harris's Inflation Reduction Act. That is exactly the model of public-private partnerships that we need to scale the energy transition from oil and gas to renewable energy. Now, this transition does not need to be partisan, and it should not be. European oil and gas companies have seen the future, and they are investing in offshore wind and clean energy. And if you are someone, say, maybe in the Republican Party, who talks a lot about energy independence, what better way to be energy independent than to create your own energy that does not rely on pricing from our foreign adversaries across the world. So this makes sense, even separate and apart from all of the benefits to the climate. And that's an argument that the European oil and gas companies understand, and it's an argument that I am optimistic American oil and gas companies will understand once we properly streamline the certification and approval process to ensure that it is worth their time, energy, and investment. Now, this type of bold leadership that New York State, as Doreen has talked about, Tom and RPA have been at the forefront. New York City has been leading the way on so much of this. This is also needed to implement the long-delayed congestion pricing. Now, congestion pricing is essential to our city, to tackling the climate change, improving our deteriorating public transportation system. And as a strong advocate for congestion pricing, I am determined to make sure that it will get implemented. Now, these are some of the special projects that we are working on towards the future, but we are here tonight as well to celebrate an incredible project that represents a current model of what can be done. The Google St. John's Terminal, which many of you know of on the West Side Highway in Hudson Square, has been a long process of turning what is a dour, foreboding building into a spectacular headquarters for Google that includes public space that is at the tip of the spear of new ways of imagining office space and office environment. RPA's Project of the Year honorees always represent a diversity of projects that embody the reimagination and revitalization of our communities. And I have to tell you, having watched this St. John's Terminal go from an empty, massive building over many years to this redesign, redevelopment that combines so many special aspects of New York City, it is a true testament to Google's vision, its investment, and its determination to both preserve tradition and to promote growth and innovation. And this headquarters will continue to emphasize environmental justice, public spaces and the public interest, and the workforce development for our evolving economy. Google has invested more than 20 years into New York City, both in Chelsea and now down in Hudson Square, and has maintained the dynamism and vibrancy of the industrial neighborhoods and the industrial buildings, so that those neighborhoods still resemble the history and tradition of New York, while also being fit for the 21st century economy. Let's take a quick look at a video of this fabulous building.
In 2000, a 2-year-old California-based company named Google allowed its first employee to work in New York out of a coffee shop on 86th Street. 24 years later, New York is one of Google's largest sites in the world. In March, Google opened a renovated St. John's Terminal building as the North American headquarters for its global business organization, home to over 3,000 Googlers, and anchoring Google's Hudson Square campus, 1 mile south of their Chelsea campus. Today, Google's New York footprint includes iconic local buildings, such as the former Port Authority building at 111 8th Avenue, the historic Chelsea Market building, which was formerly a Nabisco factory where Oreos were invented, and Pier 57, an Emil Prager masterpiece built for the Department of Marine and Aviation. These buildings represent Google's commitment to sustainable and transformational redesign to reimagine these New York treasures, adapting them for the economy of the future, and maintaining the industrial character of West Chelsea and Hudson Square. Google's innovative spaces celebration of food and company culture, and emphasis on climate action have set the standards for the future of work. By adapting the existing structure and foundation to rebuild St. John's Terminal, Google saved approximately 78,400 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions. The building also created 1.5 acres of native vegetation at street level, in rail beds and on terraces, redefining what green space means for commercial real estate in New York. 95% of the exterior plants at St. John's Terminal are native to New York State, reknitting the building into the local ecology and providing a habitat for migratory birds. Google's commitment to the vibrancy of their neighborhoods has maintained community treasures like the concourse at Chelsea Market and a new food hall and community classrooms in Pier 57. Their presence in the city anchors the rapidly growing tech economy, now the fastest growing sector in New York, representing 25% of the city's total job growth since 2014, and keeping New York as a #1 destination for relocating tech workers in the nation. Google's presence in both Hudson Square and West Chelsea have increased demand for commercial office space, particularly for creative industries. They have reconnected New York and the visitors to the waterfront and open space, and have contributed to a new cultural and tourism center on the far west side. Through these investments, Google has transformed the way we think about urban reuse. RPA thanks Google for this commitment to preservation, economic development, community and neighborhood revitalization, and to New York and the region.
With innovative private partners like Google, policy leaders and experts like RPA, and so many of the elected officials who are here tonight to push forward with the new economy, the green economy, New York City and New York State are in very, very good hands. And it is my honor to welcome Vice President of Real Estate and Workplace Services, Scott Foster, to accept RPA's Project of the Year Award on behalf of Google. Congratulations, Scott.
Good evening, and I am the last of the speakers, I believe, this evening, and honorees. I want to thank Congressman Goldman for that kind introduction about the work that we do in public-private partnerships. And I would also, I'm a little shorter than the Congressman for sure. The funding for Brooklyn Marine Terminal and SBMT will benefit New Yorkers for generations, so a big thank you there. We're grateful for all that you do, and Congressman Nadler, Senator Schumer, and Gillibrand do to advocate for New York's industries and the revitalization of the city's amazing waterfront. And thank you, RPA. Let's pause there just to thank you. And thank you to RPA, especially Tom Wright, Ray McGuire, Lacey Cotter, and the entire team that made tonight possible. And a special thank you to our city and state delegation, including Councilmember Bottcher, Borough President Levine, Assembly Members Simone and Glick, and Senators Hoylman, Siegel, and Kavanaugh. Thank you for recognizing a series of projects that represent our deep connection to the fabric of this amazing city. As you heard on the video, Google's been in New York City for more than 20 years. And it's the city's vibrancy, it's the diverse top-notch talent, world-class institutions that keep us so rooted here. Today, many of you may or may not know, but there are over 14,000 Googlers who call New York home, and we have every major product line of the company represented here in this market. Our two campuses include two of the city's most iconic buildings, 111 8th Avenue, which you saw, Chelsea Market, and Pier 57, and we're honored to be what we consider to be caretakers of these structures. And these structures are so steeped in the history of the city, and we take that stewardship responsibility. We're especially proud of the project you just saw, our new St. John's Terminal building. For us, We talk a lot as a group and as a company about placemaking. Placemaking is really the key element of creating environments that spur creativity for Googlers. St. John's Terminal, as you know, is an adaptive reuse project of a historic building. We've done many of these around the world, but it represents our focus on sustainability. And as it was mentioned, there's an incredible 1.5 acres of native greenery on the site. It represents Google's latest thinking about the workplace, especially at a time when there is a lot of discussion about the future of work and workplace. But we're designing spaces around teams that promote both innovation and collaboration. It's also the new North American headquarters of our global business organization, and it serves as a center and a place for us to gather and work with our clients. To date, we've hosted over 30,000 guests in St. John's Terminal because there's no better place to welcome our business clients and partners than in New York, where so many of our clients are based. There are many real estate teams and community partners who help to bring this to life, including many of my colleague Googlers here who worked on this project for many, many years. The process started about 10 years ago, and William Floyd, who's here, was a part of that process. It was really to do what we do in real estate and workplace takes supporting the vision of leaders who think differently. And our site leadership here in New York had a bold vision about a unique site for what it could become. We've been fortunate to work alongside hundreds of the world's best architects, engineers, developers, designers, consultants, and building operations specialists. I will acknowledge a few that are here with us tonight, including Cook Fox, Oxford, GMS, Gardner and Theobald, AFD, Certified, Climatech, Gensler, PowerCon, StructureTone, JLL, and Turner. So please give them a round of applause. Our core team can't do this type of work and this kind of a project without the support of our site leadership and without our partners. We also owe a great deal of thanks to the community partners who've helped us to really have input in the vision of what St. John's Terminal could become. That includes the Hudson River Park Trust, former City Council Speaker Corey Johnson, Community Board 2, and the de Blasio administration. And one more big thank you to all the partners that I don't have time to mention today, but have been a part of this journey. It's inspiring to see the positive impact that we can achieve when we work together to support our New York neighbors in Hudson Square, Chelsea, and beyond. In 2023, our products help provide $106 billion of economic activity for hundreds of thousands of New York businesses, nonprofits, publishers, creators, and developers. Since 2005, Google and our employees have donated over $400 million in local philanthropy. Our community classrooms in Pier 57, which are free and open to the public, have hosted 1,600 events welcoming over 55,000 users since opening just in April of 2023. Chelsea Market and Pier 57 host world-class food establishments, including the James Beard Foundation, that draw in both local community members but also visitors from all over the world. And a thanks to RXR, the rooftop of Pier 57 is now a new popular public space with incredible views of the skyline. I'll also close on a personal note. Although I'm now based in Silicon Valley at the Google headquarters, I started my career here in New York City 28 years ago with my first job out of college. And every single time I come back, I'm always struck by the overwhelming energy that I see in our offices, on the streets, and the neighborhoods in which we operate here. It's that energy, it's the vibrancy, it's the buzz that make New York different than any other place in the world. The drive for new ideas that power our business as a creative company come from the communities that we're a part of. It's why we love New York, it's why I love New York, why Google loves New York, and that's why we're committed to be here far into the future. So thank you very much for allowing us to be here tonight.
That concludes the program. My voice still hasn't come back. I'm just going to do one final thank you, though. I want to thank everybody who's joined us here tonight, but one person in particular who did more than anybody else to put this together is Lacey Cotter. Where's Lacey? Lacey? Lacey was extraordinary in corralling and herding all these cats. Thank you so much, Lacey. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Now, enjoy the rest of the evening. Have a wonderful time. And thank you again for joining us.